Do you believe that she died of pneumonia?
Absolutely not.
But one thing is, you have volunteered to testify at the trial, correct? But you're willing to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I am. You know, and again, there was the most expensive PR campaign against me to shut me down. If you actually knew what they did to me, there was a bounty on my head, there was a bunch of stuff.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. Then right after that, Al had a meeting, and our survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? He must be the luckiest, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning, gone. Just him.
Al B. Sure just sent the internet into a frenzy after he leaked tapes of Kim Porter exposing Diddy for sleeping with Usher when he was just 14 years old, and even infecting him with multiple STDs. Apparently, Diddy wasn't just piping Usher. He was also forcing him into freak-offs and even made Usher watch and record some of the freak-offs he had with Kim Porter and those male. A lot of folks said this is why Usher is so hooked to Diddy and refuses to come out and expose him. They believe all these experiences he had with Diddy tricked him into being dependent on him, and now he feels he owes the diddler loyalty. Al B. Sure, on the other hand, doesn't give a damn, and he's going all out to expose everything, even if Usher doesn't want to. Al B. Sure was already on Diddy's tail right from when Kim died, and it only got worse when Diddy poisoned him and had him in the hospital with multiple organ failures, fighting for his life. Al revived these allegations about Diddy a few days ago when he appeared in a heated interview to promote his new book, Do You Believe Me Now? Just the title alone was a clap back at people who called him crazy when he was accusing Diddy of being behind Kim's death. During the interview, he opened up about his health emergency back in 2022 when he was fighting for his life and going in and out of a coma because of multiple organ failures. Al said prior to his illness, he knew that somebody, aka Diddy, was after his life, but whenever he tried to make a report about it to the police, they just told him off and even suggested that he check himself into a mental health facility because he was going crazy. He later found out that the feds he was going to were on Diddy's payroll, and they were reporting back to him the whole time behind his back. As if that wasn't bad enough, whenever he made a post about Diddy, he'd get calls from strange people him to take it down, or there were gonna be consequences.
So you were in that coma in 2022. You had the liver transplant, you had the tracheotomy, I mean, all that stuff that went on.
Multi-system organ failure.
Yeah,
60.
Right. Have they figured out what happened yet?
We will.
No, I mean, have the doctors medically, like, what happened to you?
Yeah, what happened? So,
because you just collapsed, right?
Yeah, so, you know, just mysteriously out of the blue, you know, which we do talk about in the book.
Yes,
what that,
I want to get into
what that process is. But yeah, so it's been quite a journey, and as I said, you know, even as it relates to writing the book, I went through many, almost, you know, more than a decade of being scrutinized and clowned by law enforcement, them telling me, you need some help. Really? What's wrong with you? No way, you know, just, but not realizing that they were also working for the situation.
Because you were hinting, saying...
Posting, yeah. I get calls, take it down or else, so on and so forth.
Sean Diddy Combs, or people affiliated with him, did something to you that caused you to have multi-organ failure?
I believe this to be the case, yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
My first time saying it.
Are you concerned that
Now, this might sound crazy to the people who weren't keeping up with Al, but he was really one of the few people that believed Kim didn't die from pneumonia and was actually loud about it. In fact, when Kim died, he made an IG post at the time crying and captioned it, "Just found this footage from the morning I learned of Kim Porter's murder and how it ripped the soul from my physical body." I do know very clearly that Kimberly didn't just check out all of a sudden over pneumonia. That's some bull-ish. And last year, when Diddy was finally arrested, he made another post exposing Diddy for sending people to unalive him on multiple occasions, as well as paying off the police. He said, "For over a decade and a half, I've been posting about and tagging random law enforcement agencies in hopes to protect loved ones, avoid deaths and tragedies that could have all been avoided. Despite this, I have been ignored, ridiculed, and medically silenced to cover up these crimes you're all now aware of by a very aggressive PR team and costly campaign to silence and physically harm me from exposing. It only aimed to prevent me from further sharing publicly the facts and insights at Lady KP shared with me during our frequent and intimate conversations in her selfless attempts to save my life by sharing frequent plans to do harm and possibly by ending my life. I am writing this post to formally request an investigation into an entire group of individuals who worked at or around the residence of Miss Kimberly Porter, including the publicist who assisted drafting this. It has come to my attention that these persons were also instructed to steal her computer and mobile devices, which contained her original book notes. And Al isn't lying about those stolen computers and mobile devices. That rumor has been going around for a hot minute, and word on the street is Kim went into details about how Usher's mama confronted Diddy after finding out that he had been touching her 14-year-old son and gave him an STD.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Brother right here from day one, we used to wake up and, pause, but like that's how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know?
But it gets even worse because people dug up an old interview that Usher had with Essence magazine back in 2005, and he had some interesting things to say. According to the article, when Usher was asked about the things that happened while he was staying at Diddy's house, he said he would have to write a tell-all book to really be able to document the things he saw. He said, "I want to save some ish for my book one day. I'll put it this way. There was a lot of X." And going back to the contents of Kim's book that got lost when her laptop was stolen, an email from one of the publishers who was helping in writing the book to Al recently leaked. And according to the publisher, Kim's book went into detail about how Diddy used to force Usher into getting intimate with him and even infecting Usher, who was still just 14 years old at the time, with an STD. The email also revealed that Usher's mom, Johnetta, wasn't aware that Usher was getting manhandled by Diddy till she found out he had an STD. The email read, "Some of the things in the book cover Diddy's gay relationships. footage of those encounters, the men he slept with, STDs, Diddy giving Usher an STD, and the explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom. Now, in case y'all are wondering the exact STD Diddy infected Usher with, well, I think we might have an idea, because back in 2017, Usher was sued by a woman who claimed he infected her with herpes. According to her, Usher exposed her to herpes during their encounters, and that he didn't tell her he had been diagnosed with herpes in 2009. She claims she tested positive after experiencing symptoms and reading online reports of Usher's alleged diagnosis. Now, going back to Usher's mom, there have also been reports that the reason she allowed Diddy to take him was because at the time Usher was suffering from some vocal issues, and a lot of labels didn't have any interest in signing him. Diddy was the only one who was down to take him, so she had no choice but to trust Diddy, since he was the only one they had in their corner. Diddy was aware of the predicament Usher was in and decided to take advantage of the situation and completely mess Usher up.
Usher went to stay with Puffy. Now that was a business decision right there, because I didn't know Puffy. I didn't know him.
Al clearly knew what he was saying when he made those allegations about Diddy touching Usher and taking him out, so he can continue to hide that secret. Now, of course, all this is alleged, so we have to take it with a grain of salt, but baby, the streets believe Al, and they've not been fighting back from talking. One person said there was foul play. The forensic pathologist that did the autopsy died. Diddy wanted a different forensic pathologist. I say do another one, dig her up. I bet Diddy will have a heart attack if he hears that. Another person said, let this sink in. Al is the only living survivor of the original founding members of Uptown Records, where Diddy interned at and later took over. It started way back then, and Al almost didn't make it. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Diddy getting exposed for allegedly touching on 14-year-old Usher? And do you believe this is why he took out Kim Porter? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.